Well, hello, and welcome back to Desire Dialogues. It's your girl, Sex Coach Lauren. Welcome back to my regulars. I'm happy to be here with you, and welcome if you're new. Today's topic, I really want to chat about why good relationships feel lonely sometimes. It's a question I keep hearing lately from clients, from friends, and from my own body. Right? I don't do this work as someone who has it all figured out. I'm human, just like you. So, why do good relationships feel lonely sometimes? Not broken ones, not chaotic ones, not the ones filled with those fucking waving red flags, but like the good ones, right? The relationships that look healthy from the outside, the steady ones. And yet, there's this quiet loneliness that can creep in. And that's a question I want to sit with today. So many women tell me that with this guilt in their voice, are like, we communicate well, they're kind, they're supportive, and they're safe. And I love my partner. And then almost right after, in a whisper, it's like, but I feel alone. And immediately they wonder what's wrong. They wonder if they're ungrateful, if they should be happier, if they're asking too much. And like, we don't have good language for this kind of loneliness because it doesn't come from neglect. It comes from something so much more subtle. Research on long term relationships show that emotional loneliness can increase even in satisfied, stable relationships, right? Or partnerships, but especially when routines solidify and novelty drops, right? When routines solidify and the novelty goes out the door, right? You're not naming authors yet, okay? We're just ease and shame. So this is backed by relationship satisfaction versus emotional attunement studies. Long-term partnerships show desire and closeness fluctuate, right? So some ideas could be, familiarity reduces erotic charge. All right. These are the theories I like to think of, security versus aliveness tension. Partners becoming co managers of life, right? And it's like some researchers and therapists point out that safety creates stability, but desire and intimacy require presence, curiosity, and space. So when everything becomes known, right, you're familiar, something often goes quiet. You stop getting curious. You start expecting you already know all those things, right? So holding the tension, right? So what if loneliness in relationships isn't a failure, but it's a signal, right? Not that something's wrong, but that something is missed. It's missed and it's a space to be named, right? So many relationships are good at logistics or co managing, co parenting, partnerships, right? They have the hobbies and the, alone time and the closeness time and the routines and the household chores all handled. But a lot fewer people in relationships are good at staying alive, at making room for contradiction, for changing it up, for changing desires, for changing how we ask for what we want because the things we want are going to change, especially in the bedroom. So, for the parts of us that don't know how to be efficient or easy, right, these contradictions help. So, sometimes loneliness shows up when we are deeply known in our roles, right? Complacency in a way, content, but we're not met in our inner worlds, right? You can be loved for who you are to someone, but still feel unseen for who you are becoming. And here's the part that we rarely say out loud, right? Safety alone doesn't create intimacy. Presence does. Desire does. Curiosity does. And when a relationship becomes very stable, very predictable, yeah, we're good, those qualities quietly fade. And it's not because anyone did anything wrong, but because no one noticed they were drifting. Or more importantly, no one knew what to exactly do to bring attention to that. So loneliness doesn't always mean distance. Sometimes it means you're touching the edge of something new, a new part of yourself that hasn't been invited into the relationship yet, right? That invite didn't get sent. A new truth, a new season. And if you've learned to be the easy one, you accommodate, right? The one who keeps things smooth. Loneliness can be the first sign that your body wants more honesty, right? Not conflict, not drama, just alive. And this is where neuroscience lightly enters the chat, all right? Nervous system regulation, predictability calming the body but flattening sensation, right? That overfunctioning leads to emotional disengagement. So, like an example for you, like our nervous systems love predictability, but on the other hand, they also need stimulation and novelty to feel alive. So, when relationships calm the nervous system without nourishing curiosity, of course, loneliness is going to appear, right? So, as you listen, you're listening to this, right? Notice gently where in your relationship do you feel appreciated but not fully met? Feel free to pause this. I'll be here when you get back. Where do you feel loved but slightly alone with your inner world? Don't analyze it, just notice what your body responds to. So, if this question and this topic stirred something in you, this is the kind of work I explore with women. Safe, slow, and without pressure. Not to fix relationships, nothing needs fixing. You're just going to invite more truth, sensation, presence, and new knowledge of what their body wants now back into their life. You don't have to leave your relationship to feel less alone inside of it, but you may need to bring more of yourself back in. Check the show notes for my sensual archetype quiz. This is a great way to touch into what are the things that light me up and make me open, make me feel more like myself, right? Authentic ways of sexuality and sensuality. And I'm going to return to the question in the beginning. Why do good relationships feel lonely sometimes? And maybe the answer isn't something to solve, but something to listen to. Thank you again for listening, my friends. It was a pleasure to be here with you. If this did something for you, please feel free to just take a quick second. I'd love it if you did. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a rate wherever you're listening. And until next time, stay sexy, my friends. Tune in. Get curious.